Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. People always ask me what it is that makes a man stay, what makes a man commit, what makes him fall in love, not just for the moment, but for a lifetime. And the truth is, it ain't about how you look. It ain't about how much you do for him. It ain't even about how much you love him. The thing that locks a man in, that makes him see you differently from every other woman, is the one boundary you set that tells him exactly who you are, what you stand for, and what you will not tolerate. Because love without respect is just temporary, but when respect is tied to love, that's when forever starts. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you that I've learned from years of living, failing, winning, and talking to thousands of people about love, commitment, and relationships. People always ask me what makes a man stay. They want to know what makes a man fall in love and keep that love alive year after year, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime. And I tell them it's not about how much money you spend on him. It's not about how much you cook, clean, or sacrifice. And it's not even about how much you tell him you love him. Men don't fall in love forever because of convenience or because somebody filled a need in the moment. They fall in love forever when they meet a woman who knows how to protect her value. And that comes down to one boundary, the one boundary that changes the way a man sees you, the one boundary that makes him realize you are different, the one boundary that makes him respect you so deeply he can't imagine walking away. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of people think boundaries are about keeping people out, but they're not. Boundaries are about teaching people how to treat you. When a woman sets the boundary that she will not allow a man to play with her time, her body, or her heart, she's sending a message. That message is, I am valuable. I am not ordinary. You cannot just step into my life and take what you want without earning the right to be here. And let me tell you, men hear that message loud and clear. You see, men are hunters by nature. They value what they work for. They respect what they pursue, and they cherish what doesn't come easily. When you give yourself away too quickly, your time, your energy, your attention, your intimacy, you rob a man of the chance to respect you at the level that could make him fall in love forever. I'm not saying you play games. This isn't about manipulation, it's about truth. The truth is your time is valuable, your energy is precious, and your spirit is not for everybody to access. You don't let a man treat you like an option because you are not an option. You are the prize. That one boundary, the refusal to let a man play with your worth, is the thing that changes the game. A man might like a woman who makes everything easy, but he doesn't fall in love forever with her. He falls in love forever with the woman who says, if you want me, you've got to step up. If you want me, you've got to be intentional. If you want me, you've got to treat me right. That's the boundary that keeps him in pursuit, not because you're difficult, but because you're worth it. Think about this: men can meet dozens of women in their lifetime. Some of those women are beautiful, some are funny, some are successful, some are kind. But when a man meets a woman who has standards, who will not let him take shortcuts, who will not let him waste her time, that woman stands out from the rest. She's not like everybody else. And men don't just want what's easy, they want what's rare. That's the difference between attention and commitment. A man will give attention to anybody who entertains him, but commitment belongs only to the woman who demanded respect first. That's why I say the boundary of protecting your value is the one thing that makes a man fall in love and stay in love. Now, some women get nervous about this because they're afraid a man will leave if they set boundaries. And you're right, some men will. But here's the truth. If a man leaves because you required respect, he was never going to stay anyway. If a man disappears because you didn't give him everything right away, that man wasn't interested in you. He was interested in what he could get from you. And you don't want to waste years of your life trying to hold on to somebody like that. The right man, the man who sees your value, will rise to meet your standard. The wrong man will walk away. That's not your loss, that's your protection. Boundaries don't scare away the right men. They only expose the wrong ones. I want you to think about how many relationships crumble because someone didn't establish their value at the start. How many people stay in situations where they're not respected, not prioritized, not cherished? It always comes back to that one thing. Somewhere along the line, the boundary got blurred. The woman gave more than she should have, accepted less than she deserved, and allowed the man to think that was okay. But when you set that one boundary early, when you show a man who you are and what you stand for, you create a foundation that can last. Because love without respect will never last. Respect is what makes love grow deeper. Respect is what turns passion into partnership. Respect is what keeps a man loyal, committed, and faithful. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is simple. You can't control whether someone loves you, but you can control how you allow them to treat you. And when you refuse to be treated as less than your worth, when you demand that a man sees your value before he gets to share in it, that's when you give him the opportunity to fall in love in a way that lasts forever. Men don't stay because of what you give. They stay because of what they had to give up to keep you. And when he has to rise to meet your standard, he values you more, he respects you more, and he never forgets the woman who required him to be his best self. That's why I say, if you remember nothing else, remember this: the one boundary that makes men fall in love forever is the boundary that says, you don't get to play with me. You don't get to waste my time. You don't get access without effort. You don't get love without respect. When you set that standard, you don't just protect yourself. You give the right man the chance to love you the way you were always meant to be loved. Ladies and gentlemen, let's dive a little deeper into something most people struggle with when it comes to love and relationships. I told you about that one boundary that changes everything, that one decision that makes a man see you in a whole new light. But here's the part that most folks miss. Having a boundary is one thing, but holding it consistently is another. See, anybody can set a standard once, but keeping it steady, keeping it strong when emotions get involved, that's where the real power lies. And that's the second key that makes a man fall in love forever: consistency. Let me tell you something real. Men pay attention to patterns, not promises. You can tell a man all day long that you won't accept certain behavior, that you demand respect, that you have standards. But if the first time he tested you bend, the whole message is lost. That's what a lot of people don't realize. The first test is never about the situation itself. It's about whether or not you mean what you say. When you let something slide that goes against your boundary, you're teaching him that your words don't match your actions. And once that happens, he doesn't see your boundary anymore. He sees your flexibility. That's when respect starts to weaken. Consistency is the glue that makes your boundary strong enough to last. Without it, even the strongest words fall apart. Because here's the truth men are going to push. Not always intentionally, not always out of malice, but they will. Life will too. You'll get tested when you're tired, when you're lonely, when you're afraid of losing him. And that's when consistency matters most. It's easy to stand firm when everything feels good. But what about when you're scared he'll walk away? What about when you really love him and want to make it work? That's the moment that defines you. Because if you bend every time you're afraid to lose someone, you've already lost the respect that could have kept them. See, the man who's not serious will leave when you hold firm, but that's not your problem. That's your blessing. The man who is serious will see that you are steady, and that will only make him more serious. Consistency separates the woman who is just talking from the woman who truly lives by her standard, and men can see that difference. A man may enjoy the company of a woman who wavers, but he falls in love forever with the woman who holds her ground no matter what. Why? Because consistency builds trust. It shows him that if you say something, you mean it. It shows him that you won't compromise who you are just to keep him. It shows him that your love is not desperation, it's choice. Think about it like this: when you're consistent, you're teaching him how to love you. You're saying, this is the level I expect, and I won't accept less, and the right man will learn from that. He'll rise to it, and he'll start to give you the respect, the attention, and the loyalty you deserve. But if you're inconsistent, what you're teaching him is that he doesn't have to take you seriously. He learns that if he waits long enough, you'll bend. And once a man learns that, he never forgets it. That's why so many women end up in relationships where they're constantly giving more and receiving less, because they weren't consistent with the boundary they set at the start. Consistency doesn't mean being rigid or cold. It means being steady. It means when you say no, it stays no. When you say you won't accept certain behavior, you don't suddenly excuse it because he apologizes or because you miss him. It means your actions align with your values even when it's hard. And let me tell you, that's attractive. A man may not admit it, but he respects a woman more when she doesn't let him get away with nonsense. Deep down, men want to know where the line is, because without a line, there's no respect. Without respect, there's no real love. Now, some people will tell you that being consistent will push men away, that you've got to be more flexible to keep a man interested. That's not true. Being consistent doesn't push away the right man. It pulls him closer. The only men it pushes away are the ones who never plan to stay. And if you think about it, isn't that what you want? Why hold on to someone who was never going to love you the way you deserve? Your consistency saves you time, pain, and wasted years. It filters out the wrong ones so the right one can see you clearly. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason consistency is so powerful is because it creates security. Men may not always say it, but they crave security in a relationship just like women do. When you are consistent, he knows exactly who you are and what you stand for. There's no confusion, no guessing, no mixed signals. And that security gives him the freedom to love you deeper because he knows you won't change the rules tomorrow. Consistency gives him confidence in you, and that confidence allows love to grow stronger and stronger. That's why I always say, if you want a man to fall in love forever, don't just set a boundary, live it. Show him that your words are backed by your actions. Show him that you respect yourself enough to never lower your standard out of fear. Show him that loving you requires consistency from him too. Because when you hold steady, he learns how to be steady with you. And when two people are steady together, that's where forever begins. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful about love that most people overlook. We've talked about setting boundaries, we've talked about being consistent, but there's another part of the story that really seals the deal. See, a lot of people believe that when you set boundaries, you risk pushing men away. They think that if you hold too firm, if you expect too much, you'll scare a man off. But the truth is, the right boundary doesn't push the right man away. It pulls him closer. And that's the third key to making a man fall in love forever. A man doesn't stay because you make things easy. He stays because you make things meaningful. He stays because you show him that you can stand alone, that you're whole without him, but you choose him because he measures up to the standard you set. When a man meets a woman who doesn't need him to define her but chooses him because he adds value to her life, something shifts in him. He realizes he's not just in the presence of a partner. He's in the presence of a queen. A queen doesn't beg for love. She doesn't settle for crumbs. She doesn't lower her crown so someone else feels comfortable. A queen sets her throne and waits for the right king to step up. That's what the right boundary does. It filters out the ones who aren't ready and brings in the one who's prepared to rise to the challenge. And let me tell you, when a man rises to that, he falls in love at a level that lasts forever. Men fall in love with women who challenge them to be better. Not in a controlling way, not in a nagging way, but in a way that says, I know my worth. And if you want me in your life, you've got to come correct. That boundary tells him she won't carry the whole load. She won't shrink herself to make him feel bigger. She won't let him coast through without growth. And believe it or not, that inspires him. A man may fight it at first, but deep down he craves it. Because the truth is, most men want to be better. Most men want to step into their potential. And the woman who requires it from him is the one he remembers forever. See, men don't stay in love because of convenience. Convenience fades. Looks fade. Excitement fades. But respect doesn't fade. The boundary that says, I choose myself first, and if you want me, you've got to add to me, not subtract from me, that creates a respect that grows deeper over time. And when a man respects you deeply, his love for you only gets stronger. That's why the right boundary pulls him closer instead of pushing him away. Because a good man wants to love a woman who values herself. A good man wants to feel like he's part of something rare, something precious, something not everybody can have. And when you show him that's who you are, he will not only fall in love, he will stay in love. Think about this. The women men talk about for years, the women they regret losing, the women they never forget, are always the ones who had standards. They're the ones who said no when it mattered. They're the ones who demanded respect. They're the ones who didn't give themselves away cheaply. That's because boundaries make you unforgettable. Anybody can be liked, but not everybody can be respected. And the woman who is respected is the one who holds his heart forever. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying a woman with boundaries is harsh or unkind. Quite the opposite. A boundary isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. It's about showing a man exactly who you are and what you expect, and then holding firm. That clarity is refreshing to a man. He doesn't have to guess. He doesn't have to play games. He doesn't have to wonder where he stands. He knows. and that gives him peace. That peace is what allows him to love you more deeply because he feels safe with you, he feels secure with you, and he knows that your love comes from strength, not weakness. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason this one boundary makes men fall in love forever is because it changes the dynamic. Instead of you chasing him, he pursues you. Instead of you lowering your standards, he rises to meet them. Instead of you losing yourself in the relationship, you hold on to your identity. And that changes how he sees you. He doesn't see you as someone he can use. He doesn't see you as someone who needs him to feel whole. He sees you as someone who could stand without him, but chooses to stand with him. That's the difference. Men don't fall in love forever with women who give them everything without asking for respect. They fall in love forever with women who make them earn it and in the process make them better men. And here's the beauty of it. When a man truly respects you, his love becomes anchored. It's not just based on attraction. It's not just based on fun. It's not just based on what you give him. It's based on the deep knowledge that he found someone rare, someone valuable, someone who makes him better. And once a man feels that, he won't let it go. He might let go of someone who gave him everything without effort. He might walk away from someone who bent every time he pushed. But he won't walk away from the woman who required his best and gave her best in return. That's the love that lasts. So when you hear people say that boundaries push men away, remember this. They only push away the wrong men. The right boundary pulls the right man closer because it creates respect, it creates security, it creates clarity, and it creates love that doesn't fade. Men fall in love forever with the woman who shows them how to respect her, how to cherish her, and how to never take her for granted. And once he learns that, he'll spend forever making sure he never loses her.